Hi everyone, welcome to Book Boop. My name is Rachel, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of July. I got through quite a few, so let's go ahead and jump in and talk about them. I'm also going to be referencing my notes as well, just to keep my brain all organized. So I'll be kind of referencing my notes a lot, so if I'm looking away from the screen as well, I apologize. Also, I'm going to be using my Kindle Fire to kind of hold up book covers for you so you're able to see what books I'm going to talk about, but let's go ahead and jump in. So this very first book I'm going to talk about today is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. This is an adult book written by Neil Gaiman. I had never read anything outside of his middle grade genre. I've read Coraline as well as the Graveyard Book. Never read any of his adult literature. This one's quite a short book. I guess you almost could call it a novella. It's pretty short. I believe it's less than 200 pages. It's a pretty darn short book. All I knew about it going in is we were following this guy who was returning to his childhood hometown and reminiscing about some time he spent around a lake or a pond with a friend of his when he was a kid. I was like, okay, that sounds like it could be pretty good. And I liked Neil Gaiman's work so far. Boy, howdy. It was a lot more than that. It was a very strange book, let me tell you that much. This book was unexpected and went in an odd direction. Totally. Neil Gaiman definitely feels like the Tim Burton of writers, and he does. It's very dark, very quirky. It went in a direction I was not expecting. I don't want to go into that too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about this book. I'm wondering on what on earth I just read. I finished it. I was like, what happened? It was so weird. I will say there are trigger warnings for suicide, pet death, and child abuse in this book. I am interested to try more Gaiman. I know I'm being very vague about what was so weird about it because I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to give any spoilers away because like I told you, what the book is about, or you think it's about when you read the description, it is about that, but it goes way beyond that and off the map somewhere. So it's a weird one. But I want to read more Neil Gaiman. I am kind of a fan of Tim Burton. I love that kind of style. And like I said, Neil Gaiman feels like the Tim Burton of authors. So I'm interested to see what about his other books. There's another one I think he wrote called Neverwhere, I think, and I would like to read that one. I just like to give some more chances to Neil Gaiman because it's different, definitely. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars, so kind of middle of the road. Again, it felt really weird when I got to the end of it because I was like, what did I just read? So I have trouble deciding how I feel about that one. So since I don't know, let's go ahead and move on. The next book that I read was one I was really pumped to read, and that one is called Wilder Girls by Rory Power. Apologize about the glare there. This is a YA horror book, kind of sci-fi-ish. Specifically, it is body horror. So we are following these girls who are going to a boarding school on a small island, and a outbreak of some weird disease, body-altering disease, breaks out on this island with these girls, and that they're quarantined there. When we start this book, these girls have been quarantined on this island, I think for like 2 years or something. And for those who haven't died from this particular virus, their bodies have been altered in strange ways. Either they start sprouting scales or gills, extra limbs, like lots of weird stuff. And it was a weird book. I will tell you that much. It's interesting to have the story set a few years into the virus instead of at the initial outbreak, because that's what I thought was going to happen. It's kind of like normal life as usual, and then all of a sudden this outbreak happens and things start to fall apart. But instead, when we start this story, we're actually already been around this epidemic for a while, and they've been stuck on this island for a couple years dealing with this, seemingly alone in a way. They're being sent some supplies, and they're trying to find a cure off island, but they're kind of basically left to their own devices and just to survive. It's a very bleak and dire situation, as I'm sure you could probably guess. I know for some, the body horror aspect would be too much, but it didn't seem to bother me. There was only one occurrence within the book that actually made me physically go, ugh. But other than that, everything else didn't really bother me too much. Some people I know kind of started this book and couldn't do it because they felt like they just couldn't handle the body horror aspect of it. But it really didn't bother me that much. Probably if I saw it on TV, it probably would bother me. But just reading it, it doesn't really bother me that much. it's not the type of story that's wrapped up in a neat bow. It doesn't have a neat finish to it, it feels like, which I'm trying to get better at liking. There's some books that I've read recently where they just end open-ended, and I don't like that. I'm trying to get used to the fact like that's okay that it's open-ended and you can kind of either guess or have your own opinion about what happens. So this kind of felt like one of those to me. I will say that the writing style, I had trouble getting into at first. The writing style was a little bit choppy at first. The sentences felt rapid fire and very short, which I had trouble getting into at first, but I got used to it after a little bit. So the writing style felt a little bit abrupt and just kind of like jerky to me, but I did get used to that. I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars as well. Again, middle of the road. Wasn't terrible, didn't necessarily love it either, but it was fun to kind of read about this type of situation, and it was creepy, and I enjoyed that. So I'm all about the creep factor. The next one, I jumped into some adult thrillers. And I read The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. That's what this cover looks like. I am trying to get more into thrillers nowadays. I feel like a lot of people are. A lot of people are trying to step into more thrillers, and that's something I'm really into. I love mysteries, and I love just kind of like a thriller aspect. So I want a mix of a little bit of scare and a little bit of mystery, and then you got a thriller. So there you go. This one, I feel like it's hard to explain. We're following this woman at this point. I think she's in her early 20s. She was adopted as a baby, and her original biological, no, I can't remember what happens with that. But anyway, she basically ends up finding out she's inheriting this house that her dead parents owned, and she starts to learn more about her past because when she was a baby, she was found in her parents' home, fine, but her parents were dead, which looked like a seemingly suicide pact. I think that's how you say that. So it just kind of unravels the mystery of this house, what happened in this house. And I thought it was going to be kind of like a haunted house type vibe. It wasn't quite that. It just delved into some really messed up stuff that happened in this home leading up to her birth and what eventually happened to her parents. This book was not quite as thrillery as I expected it to be. It wasn't as nail-bitingly like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen, as I was hoping it would be. I appreciated that the chapters were short, and I liked the rotating perspectives. I think we were rotating between 3 different perspectives in this book, which was really, really interesting and fun. And so each chapter we're just following a different perspective, and the chapters were short, so it helped it move along quickly, which I was thankful for. I always love shorter chapters. I did experience some instances of unreliable narrator in this, which is not something I'm really used to reading, so that was kind of fun too, to have one of our narrators being a little bit unreliable, that was different for me. It was entertaining, but not what I was hoping for. I enjoyed it, but probably won't remember much from it. I don't remember fully everything that happened in this book, and I'm sure over time it's going to devolve into me not remembering much of it all about any of it. It felt a little bit forgettable to me. So it was okay. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was fun kind of at the time when I read it, but it wasn't terribly memorable. Let's put it that way. So not one of my favorite thrillers that I have tried out, but I still enjoyed it. All right, so this next one, you guys, is my first DNF of the year. So I don't DNF easily. I feel really guilty about it when I do. So you know that meant that it was not good for me. And that is, sorry, I'm sweating, probably because I'm nervous about talking about it, The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I was really excited about reading this one. This is a vampire book that's set in New Orleans in the late 1800s, I believe. And this book was not for me. I couldn't connect with the writing style. It was too angsty and juvenile for my taste. I found myself not caring about the characters or the plot. I'm not a fan of the I don't want to and I shouldn't be attracted to you, but he or she is so hot. I hate that. I hate it when, it's just like, oh, that person is so sexy, but oh, I can't like him. He's just too much of a bad boy, or he's just so rude. I shouldn't like him, but he's so handsome. Like it was just too much angst. And I guess I should have expected that from a book that's supposed to be kind of vampire-y, but I was really hoping for a good vampire book. I really wanted one. It felt like the author reminded us of main plot points way too many times. There's a specific thing that we learn about our main character very early on in the book, and we are hammered over the head with it. Every single chapter, we are reminded about this particular aspect of this character from their past, and it drove me crazy. I'm like, I get it, I get it, I get it. Don't remind me anymore. I get it. So that drove me nuts too. Can you tell I'm not liking this book? Lastly, I made a good effort. I got halfway through, and I wanted to love it, but it just wasn't for me. So I gave this one nothing. I didn't give it a rating because I didn't finish it. I would say if I were to give it a rating, I'd probably give it like 2 stars. I just really wasn't for me. It was too angsty. It felt too juvenile, like teenagery juvenile for me. I didn't care. I didn't care. I found myself just not caring about any of the characters, and they all drove me crazy. So I DNF'd that puppy. And I hate the fact that I got halfway through it, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Let's move on. Okay, so the next one is one that I have wanted to read forever. I had on my Kindle for years, and that is The Rithmatist by Brandon Sanderson. This is a book that I don't hear about very much. That's by Brandon Sanderson. He's such a popular author, but I never really hear about this one. This one we follow a story about sort of this alternate past. It just takes place in the early 1900s, I think, if I remember it. It's kind of like an alternate idea. It's a little steampunky. And we're following this boy who desperately wants to be a Rithmatist. And a Rithmatist is someone that has the gift to draw something with chalk and make it come to life. And there are these wild chalklings, these wild chalk creatures that are dangerous and deadly. And the Rithmatists, who are the people that are able to create their own chalk creatures and chalk barricades and whatever, they are trained and enlisted to protect the world from the chalklings. Brandon Sanderson loves making up some intricate magic systems, and this was no joke. He made this intricate, very mathematical, which I am not a math person, but it was a very interesting type of system he put together. Like I said, he loves creating well fleshed out and complex magic systems. The Rithmatist magic system felt very unique. It was geometry and drawing based. I wish there would have been more info and backstory on the wild chalklings, on when and how they appeared and all that kind of stuff. The plot felt well paced, more so than the adult titles of Brandon Sanderson I've read. His adult titles are a little slow to me sometimes. And so I enjoyed this because it was pretty fast paced. The characters were fun and they felt complex, and overall it felt unique and it was a fun story. So I really enjoyed it a lot. It was a good time. I gave it 3 stars. I used G from Book Roast, her Caw Pile, which is her rating system. And sometimes I'm surprised about what certain things come out as, and this was one I thought it was going to be about a 4-star, and it coming out as a 3-star. But I did really enjoy it. I felt like it was unique. I think that's what I enjoyed about the most, is the fact that it was a very unique concept. All right, so you guys, I got 3 more books left. Let's get this done. This next one, I accidentally left on the shelf over there, so let me get it. It is called The Miraculous by Jess Redman. It is a middle grade. Here it is right here. We're following this boy who calls himself a miracologist. He believes in miracles, and he has a notebook he calls The Miraculous, and he likes to collect stories of true miracles, whether it's someone he interviews and writes the story down. He finds it in the newspaper, or just different miracles he collects throughout history and time, and people he meets and collects them until something really, really awful happens. Where his baby sister she dies as an infant. She only lives for a few days after she's born, and after that he doesn't believe in miracles anymore, and he starts going through grief. His family's going through grief. He does not sure how to handle it, and this is all about him learning to believe in miracles again, and about the importance of remembering those that we love that have passed on. So it was hard-hitting. It was difficult. Deals with difficult situations, but I felt like it was done well. It's an emotional grade dealing with grief, like I said, and how to still celebrate those who have gone before us. I had high hopes for this one, but it missed the mark a little bit. The dialogue felt clunky at times. There were lots of random outbursts, especially from one character where there was a lot of use of exclamation marks. There was this one character that we followed, and she would just sort of like randomly yell things, but it just felt awkward and felt like it just made, the writing made it feel awkward to me. I did enjoy seeing the characters move toward holding on to memories and taking the time to remember and mourn instead of just moving on. It wasn't about, oh, yeah, we're sad. Okay, let's move on now. It's more about, okay, how do we embrace this grief and how do we make it healthy, of where it's okay to remember those that we miss. It's okay to be sad about it. I felt like that part of it was well done, and I just thought it was beautiful. I give it 3 out of 5 stars as well. Didn't absolutely love it, but I felt like it was well done for the type of story and the type of message it carried. So there you go. This next one, again, I forgot to get out. Where are you? My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brodi, Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. This is a Jane Eyre retelling, and it's basically, as I'd heard so many times on BookTube, it is Ghostbusters meets Jane Eyre, which I would say is a good idea of what this book is. To start with, I'm not familiar with the source material of Jane Eyre, so that may affect my feelings on it. And originally, I enjoyed this self-aware writing style. It's very self-aware, goofy, silly writing style. At first I enjoyed it, but it ends up diffusing any tension that the story needed to make it a compelling mystery. We're supposed to be following sort of this kind of creepy mystery, but I felt like the writing was so goofy that it just pulled away from any tension that the mystery was supposed to create. So that kind of ruined the mystery for me, to be honest, because it just didn't feel like, it didn't make me want to pick it up and find out what was going to happen. I'd often feel confused when characters were referred by their first names and then their last names. I'm terrible with names as it is. I will remember plots, no problem, but I cannot remember names for the life of me. And there were so many times, like for half the book, somebody's first name would be used over and over, and all of a sudden later on someone would start using their last name in reference to them, and I'm like, I don't remember what their last name is. Why are you doing this to me? And so half the time I couldn't remember what characters we were talking about or characters were talking. So not helpful. Overall, I was disappointed because the description sounded right up my alley. I love anything to do with ghosts and creepy stuff, and I thought this one was going to just be perfect for me. And I think it was just too silly for me. It was taken too much in a self-aware, silly aspect. That sentence did not make sense. I'm sorry. It just was too goofy for me. I would have much enjoyed this more if it had taken itself a little bit more seriously. I think I would have had a lot more fun with it. All right, let's move on to the last book. Oh wait, sorry, 3 out of 5 stars. A lot of 3 stars in July. Nothing like amazing. I'm losing my voice, so let's go ahead and get to this last one. This one I'm really excited to talk about because I feel like I really enjoyed this one, and I'm excited I did, and it's called Now Entering Addamsville by Francesca Zappia. I freaking love this book, you guys. It was so fun. This book makes me think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, to be perfectly honest. We are in this small town of Addamsville, and we're following this girl. I always say this girl, this guy, because I can never remember the names. We're following this girl who is able to see ghosts, and she's also able to see these demonic-like creatures. Sorry, I just hit the camera. She's able to see these demonic-type creatures she calls fire starters. And she is kind of like the one protection to protect this town from these fire starters. And the town doesn't know that. They don't like her. They think she's a delinquent. And so she's protecting these people that honestly truly hate her, but she still cares about helping. But she's sort of like this BA girl who's goth, kind of, and it's just like, I will say what I think at all times, but she's really hardcore, but she does care deep down, and she's able to see these ghosts, and she's able to battle these demons. It's really cool. It's fun. Also, it involves a ghost hunting TV crew. So if that's not enough to get you into this, you need to read it. It's fun. I really enjoyed the spooky small town atmosphere. It has serious fall vibes and gave me a Buffy the Vampire feel. I felt the struggle of the protagonist who's trying to do so much good for a town that doesn't understand her. And I could easily see this as a TV show. No problemo. I would love to see this as a TV show. I think it would be great. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Great fall read. It was good times. Okay, guys, those are all the books that I read in July. It was kind of a meh reading month. I didn't have anything that really blew me away other than Now Entering Addamsville. That's the only one I read that I like truly just enjoyed. The rest of them were kind of meh. So that was my July month. How was yours? How was your reading month in July? I hope it was better than mine. Let me know down below what's some books that you read in July, or just let me know if there's one you either really loved or hated. Also, let me know if you read The Beautiful. Did you like it? If you did, tell me why, or you can just like rant with me because I didn't enjoy it. On this side of the video over here is my logo. If you click on that, you can subscribe to my channel, follow me on my book journey. I would love to have you a part of the boop family. On this side over here is another video if you want to watch another one right now. But thank you so much for watching. You rock, and don't forget to keep reading. Bye.